Well, happy Halloween. Mm. Whew. All right, happy Halloween. I'm nervous. So normally I think that all media, not only books, but like literally all media should be consumed as blind as possible. Like I think that the plot of the book and just the general idea is best experienced as it unravels. I think that for intents of viewers or the reader's enjoyment, it's totally blind. But it's kind of hard to do that for this book. Because this book is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. And like, look at that book. Hopefully the light's reflecting out here. Yeah, man, it's beautiful. And it's like bumpy, and it's got the golden pages. Before I actually talk about the book, Chiltern. Hopefully you can see that. It's Chiltern. I've never heard of Chiltern before. But this is a really beautiful edition of the book. It's like peacock feathers. The only thing that I don't like about it, actually, because the rest of it was great, the pages are like this non-paper material. Like it's like coated, and you can't like underline in pencil or anything. It's like the same material as like a CD jacket booklet, or I don't know. You just kind of have to feel it, but it doesn't feel great. And sometimes, like when I would be reading, my lamp that I have next to me while I read would be reflecting off of it, and it would obscure a word or two, and it was just kind of annoying. But other than that, really great edition. But I can see how that would be a big downside for a lot of people. That was my experience. The reason that I stated all that at the beginning of the video is it's kind of hard to talk about Frankenstein and expect the reader to go in completely blind, because the concept of it is so universally known. Like, who doesn't already know the central idea, you know? So yeah, normally at the beginning of these videos, I think I'm gonna want to like do a brief, like 30-second, here's a totally spoiler-free version of like the vibes you could be expected to get from this book, or like the themes that ensue, but not talk about the plot or what the book is really about. I'm not going to do that here because it's Frankenstein. Everyone knows that it's about Dr. Frankenstein, who actually in this book is not a doctor yet. He's a student. But it's about Victor Frankenstein and the monster that he creates. Normally it's portrayed as him, you know, he's got like the table and he's like cranking him up in his observatory or whatever, and then like he lets the zombie get blasted with a bolt of lightning, and that is how life is created. That's actually not, I don't think that's what happens at all. The actual creation of the body, well, of the monster, is very quick. I mean, he's a student for a good portion of the book. And like it talks about his studies and stuff and his relationship with the professors. But the actual event of the monster being created and life being brought to it, I don't even think it's 2 pages. I don't even think it's 1 page. Mostly what the book involves itself with is all of like the philosophical implications of what creating life entails. And like is it messed up for Victor Frankenstein to have made this really like a child out of dead body parts and be so ginormous and grotesque that all human life is just going to shun it away and keep it out of society and totally abhor it? I think the way that Mary Shelley tackles these themes is very interesting. Also, I love her style of writing. It's very eloquent, but I mean, of course, uh-oh. I think that the way that she writes is very eloquent and pretty, but of course it was published in 1818. A lot of the words are archaic, and I don't know what they mean, but they're pretty, so of course I'm going to think that it's very eloquently written. So, but I think it was really nice to read. It really reminded me of H.P. Lovecraft, which He's one of my favorite writers, who I'll probably talk about in the future. Say goodbye. And the way that the story starts out is it doesn't really involve the story of Frankenstein at all. Neither he nor the monster. It's this captain of a voyage who's going up, I think it's the North Pole, to do some sort of exploring. I don't really remember. I think this took me like 2 weeks to read, and that's such a small detail that I really don't remember. Sorry about that. But it's this captain who goes up to the North Pole leading some expedition, and then he sees Victor Frankenstein with a sled of dogs just going across the North Pole. He's like, "Who are you?" So they start talking, and then Victor starts talking about what he's doing up there on the North Pole. And so he recounts this whole story to him. And most of the book is just Victor Frankenstein recounting his entire life story to this captain. I don't even remember his name. It's Robert Walton is really the first person of the story, but 95% of it is Victor Frankenstein retelling his life story to Robert Walton. For a large chunk of it, in like the very middle, probably for like 50 pages, it's Frankenstein's monster talking to Frankenstein about his life story. So it kind of keeps re-enveloping itself throughout the story, and I really actually like that. I think it was a lot of fun. But I'm kind of mixed on the pacing. At times I thought it was really good, like I said. The whole ceremony of the monster being brought to life was really short. I didn't really mind, but other parts were kept really, really short as well. Not necessarily as respectively short or comparatively short as that specific event as you might think. Like, towards the end of the book, the main love interest, Elizabeth, and Victor Frankenstein's dad both die separately. They die of completely separate causes. And I think they take place over like a number of months. Like, Elizabeth will die, a few months pass, and then Frankenstein's dad dies. And I think that period of time is like 2 months, which, I mean, it wasn't bad, but it was just kind of jarring to me. As well as Elizabeth's death. That seemed really short. And also at times I found Victor himself kind of annoying. I like all of his thoughts, but I don't think that he was really justified in I don't think that he was justified in not making the female version of the monster for the monster. Because in the book, the monster comes up to Frankenstein and is like, "Why did you make me this way? Why did you make me so ugly that everybody hates me and wants to kill me? Everybody wants to kill me. Why did you do that? I hate you. Make me a woman and we'll go off into the mountains in South America and live in peace and we'll never bother anybody again." I don't know if he was justified in not making the monster. Although I guess it's justifiable, like, when he goes to start making the second monster, he says to himself, like, "I've already done such a misdeed to humanity, how could I possibly do it a second time, even if not doing it would cause me and my loved ones to die?" Which I guess is justifiable, but I don't know, I guess I just believed the monster. I was like, yeah, I don't think he really will go and bother anybody again. I mean, he lived for a year inside of a wall listening to this impoverished family, which is a whole thing that I won't get into, but probably my favorite part of the book. It just kind of annoyed me when Victor did that, as well as when he was so quick to marry Elizabeth, who, by the way, is like his sister, like his adopted sister, and was raised with him since he was a child. That was weird, but it was 1818. I'm gonna forgive it, but it was just kind of weird. I don't know. Their marriage was really quick, and his whole reasoning for it, I think that this is his whole reasoning for such quick marriage and why he did the things that he did. So I could be totally wrong. What he was saying was, I am causing my beloved Elizabeth so much grief because I am in so much anguish over all the horrible things that I've done. So many of these people are dead. My brother, my best friend, and like our servant, who was basically like another member of the family. They all died, and that's all my fault. And I'm just going to cause more pain for everybody. So his internalizing of this is causing him a lot of grief, and his grief is causing Elizabeth a lot of grief. So what he decides to do is get quickly married because he believes that as the monster threatened to be with Frankenstein on his wedding night, he thinks, oh yeah, on my wedding night he's going to come and kill me. And then that'll be the end of it. I think that's totally stupid. Like, dude, he said he's going to destroy your heart, not just kill you. Like, he's going to torture you. He's going to torture you, man. He's not just going to kill you. At least tell Elizabeth and try and run away together or something. Or, like, don't get married. Maybe, I don't know. Victor Frankenstein is a very smart guy. Like, he astonishes the professors throughout the book, and yet he doesn't think of this. So I think that that was probably my biggest annoyance in the book, was that he, like, kind of willingly, almost willingly, allows Elizabeth to get killed and not be happy right beforehand. Like, she is really upset about how upset Frankenstein is. I don't know, he did her a bad turn, I think. But I really like the ending of the book and how the monster's whole idea was to have Frankenstein chase him around the North Pole or just all over the earth, like, forever, or until one of them died. I don't know, I think that there's kind of like a beautiful metaphor there. Like, this is this horrible misdeed forcing him to chase it around the earth forever until he dies. I don't know, there's a metaphor there, and I think it's awesome. I think the image of them chasing after each other with the dog sleds, I think that's awesome. But then, of course, once they get to the North Pole, he shortly dies of exhaustion. Throughout the book, he's just a really sick guy. He gets sick like 3 times beforehand. So he just wasn't really like the spitting image of health, I guess. But then once Frankenstein dies, the monster somehow immediately realizes that he has died. And he really mourns him. Like, it's sad. The monster is definitely my favorite character in the whole thing. He's great. Whenever he's talking, it's just really, really interesting. And he's talking about how he wishes for the forgiveness of Frankenstein, and all these misdeeds throughout are only to spurn Frankenstein, but that he wishes that he didn't have to do everything, and that he's sorry. And it's just kind of twisted. It's like a 3-page monologue, and it's kind of twisted and lovely. And I don't know, I thought it was really cool. Whenever the monster is talking, it's great. So yeah, I thought it was pretty good. Kind of lulls at points, like the first few chapters of the actual story, like when he's becoming a student at wherever it was, Germany, I don't know, whatever school Ingolstadt, I think that's how you say it. It was kind of a lull, and then in between, when Frankenstein encounters the monster and has that big long discussion with him, and the end of the book, that's kind of a lull there. Like I said, the pacing wasn't my favorite. But yeah, I think overall, I would say Frankenstein is probably a necessary piece of literature for Western culture, at least. Like, if you like monsters and horror and sci-fi, definitely check it out. I would say check it out if you read at all. I think it's fair use. I think you can get it online for free. Yeah, thank you for watching. Happy Halloween! Oh yeah. So maybe I've already done these videos, but I want to try and do a video like every holiday, not just holidays celebrated in America, like international holidays, to try and give me like some sort of semblance of an upload schedule. I'll probably go off of the calendar on my phone, but anyways. Oh, and the videos won't always be in theme with the holiday. I just happened to start reading Frankenstein. Halloween was right around the corner, so I figured, film a Frankenstein video. There are 2 books that I finished pretty recently that I want to do videos on. I might not ever get around to them, but I probably will. I have a lot more to say about these 2 books than I do Frankenstein. Devil in the White City, Watership Down. Anyways, thank you very much for watching. Bye.